Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we're going to be talking about the newly shown Marvel Legends figures, specifically the retro-styled SpiderMan series. So this is a really cool kind of series. I like the idea of them going back and doing retro-style figures. It is pretty cool. My only issue with the series in general is that there's no Build-A-Figure aspect to it, and the Build-A-Figure aspect is one of my favorite parts of Marvel Legends. So it's disappointing to be lacking in that. However, they always give you the coolest version of each of the characters when it comes to the retro series. But overall, they did a whole lot of Marvel Legends reveals and releases. The day before last, or yesterday, I think. I can't remember, but they revealed a lot. This video, I'm just talking about the retro Spider-Man stuff, but I will be making probably another video or two to go over some of the other reveals, specifically some of the massive projects that they have coming too. Was really exciting. But let's talk about the retro Spider-Man figures. So starting off, we have a classic Spider-Man, really nice looking Spider-Man figure. What's really interesting about this figure is that it looks like he's got a ball-jointed upper torso rather than an ab crunch. That's very unusual, you know, with really, I can't think of any of the recent Spider-Man figures that have come out that had a ball-jointed upper torso instead of an ab crunch. That's very unique. Overall, though, it looks really nice. Very classic-looking Spider-Man. Really deep black webbing lines, which I think looks good. He comes with two face sculpts, one with the eyes slightly more squinched, and one with them slightly more open. I think that the slightly more open eyes could be a little bit more wide, actually, to reflect a little bit more like this picture. It's even though they're a little bit wider, they still don't look super wide. The packaging's awesome, though. I love the Spider-Man logo at the top and the oversight of the city. I think that looks really cool. Oh, let's get the out-of-package images here. So here's the back, very classic style figure back in there with all the other figures in the assortment as well. And Spider-Man, looking cool. Yeah, that ball-jointed upper torso is very unique. Looking like a nice figure, though, I must say. Not one that I plan to get. I have a very classic looking Spider-Man from the Hobgoblin Build-A-Figure wave, which is just a great Spider-Man, so I'm very happy with that one. Here we have the Peter Parker figure. This one's cool. I actually like it quite a bit. It does reuse some of the more recent kind of jacket style arms and the overall jacket. The tennis shoes look completely new though, which is cool. The undershirt, so basically the body, I think is also new, but it looks like a neat figure. I love the fact that he comes with the camera, of course. His glasses, although they are pretty accurate, they look a little odd figure form, to be honest. They look a little ridiculously big. But overall, I think that it does look cool. I love the secondary head sculpt showing, you know, kind of like his other side with Spider-Man. I think that's very neat. This is a figure that I really considered purchasing. I decided not to. I just don't need it, but I do think it's quite neat. I think that the glasses are a little ridiculous, though. I wish that those were toned down maybe slightly. This is just a different figure, obviously, with Moon Knight here. Then we have Gwen Stacy, but it can also kind of be switched to Mary Jane. I don't like the idea of being able to switch it to Mary Jane, just because this outfit is, you know, the epitome of Gwen Stacy, so it just looks really weird to have Mary Jane in Gwen Stacy's outfit. It just looks odd. Nonetheless, though, I think the Gwen Stacy figure looks really nice. Solid figure. I like the detailing texture-wise within her her kind of sweater top. I think that looks really good. Her accessories are pretty neat, too. She comes with a handbag, a Midtown High School book, and then a rolled-up piece of paper. It's a little hard to tell what that secondary accessory is, but I like the amount of accessories that she comes with. The face sculpt's quite good as well. The one thing I don't like is that right hand. I think it's a weird hand to give her. That's kind of a hand for like magic using people, like you know, Scarlet Witch. That's the perfect hand for her. It looks really awkward like this. Like there's no position where she would look natural with that hand, other than like if you posed her when she was dead, you know, kind of hanging. I guess that hand would work, but other than that, it's a very odd hand. Yeah, here's kind of the Mary Jane look, which just, it looks weird to me. I don't like it. I would have much preferred that they did a Mary Jane figure, because I'd love a Mary Jane. Unfortunately, though, I think they did one, but it's been a while, and it was kind of hard to get. I think it was in a Target exclusive set, too. But overall, it looks like a nice figure. This is one that I absolutely wanted to get. Unfortunately, though, it was sold out. I originally was planning on getting these on Hasbro Pulse, but by the time that I got to it, Daredevil was the only one that wasn't sold out. So I was disappointed, but then I ended up finding them on Amazon when they still had them in stock, and I was able to pre-order the ones I wanted, with the exception of Gwen Stacy. She was the only one that was sold out, unfortunately. So I do still plan to get it, but just haven't been able to pre-order it yet. Next up, we have Green Goblin, the very classic version of Green Goblin, which looks awesome. Now, this is mainly a repaint. The whole body and everything is exactly the same as the previous Green Goblin, but it's done in very, 90s cartoonish style colors with the bright green and the purplish pink almost accents. He looks really nice, though. I think that it looks like a good figure, and the face sculpt is so cartoony Green Goblin. It looks awesome. The big eyes. They even have like the little a sun flare within the pupils. And it looks very cartoony, but I think it looks cool. So I do like the head sculpt quite a bit. And then the Norman Osborn head sculpt is very nice as well. That's something that we haven't received. You could even just put that on the suited figure as well and make a Norman Osborn, which would be cool. Looks like a really nice figure, and I do have it pre-ordered. This is one that I definitely wanted, with the very classic Green Goblin. Next up, we have Electro. This is a figure that I have been wanting for a while now. They previously released an Electro figure. However, it was very much a modern version of Electro with a modern head sculpt. Now, they did give you an interchangeable head sculpt with that had the very classic look like this. But it was a little lackluster because it was like you had the classic head sculpt on a modern body. And that figure has worked fine in my collection as a stand-in for Electro, but I've always just kind of been waiting to get a proper Electro for my collection. So here we finally have it, and also for the Sinister Six too, because they have released the entire Sinister Six, and Electro is fine with them, but he certainly is not what I'm preferring, and so to have a classic Electro is awesome too. What's neat is they actually use a totally different body here. The previous Electro was on a very thin body. They've gone with more of a medium sculpt. He looks pretty broad-chested actually. So they went with a slightly more muscular Electro than I would have expected, but I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks very good. And then it makes it that much more different than the previous Electro too. So I'm a fan of the sculpt that they decided to use. Really cool. Yeah, this is one that I'm very excited about. I'm really loving it. So yeah, and then lastly, I don't know where they put it. Maybe they don't have the pictures. Oh, here we go. Lastly, they have Daredevil. Again, very classic in its kind of cartoon style. I like the Matt Murdock head sculpt. I think that looks nice. And the little bracelets that have the batons going the other way, I think that's very cool as well. I think those are neat accessories. However, not a figure that I particularly enjoy. I'm not a huge Daredevil fan in general, and this style of Daredevil, not really into at all. I've never been really into any of the, versions of Daredevil interacting with Spider-Man. Obviously, they're from the same, city, the same state, but it's just, they don't, although they're around each other, they don't, go together, in my opinion, personally. But nonetheless, I think that, nice figure if you're a Daredevil fan. I just, personally, again, I am not much of a Daredevil fan. But yeah, overall, really nice kind of retro series. I think their character selection is really good, too. You get Spider-Man, you get Peter Parker, you get a love interest, you get kind of a secondary or side character being Daredevil, and then you get two villains. Solid assortment, indeed, I would say. Again, I would have loved a really classic Mary Jane. That would have been great, instead of just the secondary head sculpt. I think that would have been really quite necessary. But other than that, I think it's really good. And then, of course, they did release a kind of classic Kingpin a while back, though. It's been a couple weeks, and that one on pre-order. I have pre-ordered that one. That one looks like an awesome figure as well, especially for people who didn't have the chance to actually Build-A-Figure. But there you go. That's my thoughts on the new Spider-Man Marvel Legends Retro Wave. Let me know what you guys think of the figures, and thanks so much for watching.